I'm gonna go. Okay, what got you interested in coaching?
I've been a competitive gamer for a long time, and I mean, a coach is always just a speed run to improving. And I don't know. I always think of these games like a meditation. It's like you always want to be better than the player you were yesterday. Than just like trying to win.
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
really excited for the process.
Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. How long you been playing Overwatch?
Um, about 9-ish months.
Okay, makes sense. What got you started?
Honestly, it was my friend moved out of town, and he was just like, "Hey, we're playing this silly game online," and I was like, "Yeah, I'll try it." And then I just got hooked. I really love it.
Yeah, it's definitely super unique. It's one of those games that like if it hits, it hits. It's totally different. Okay, and I'm looking on your forum here. A little bit more of a support player and a tank player specifically, at least at the time of the forum. What got you
Yeah.
stuck with those heroes? What appealed to you about those heroes?
I really like them more than um, DPS, just in the fact that I'm not really a shooter player normally.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like those two roles, and just that it's the teamwork is a lot more explicit. I think
Yes.
DPS, yeah. So I
That
think it's
makes total
awesome.
sense. That makes total sense. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. I mean, I think tank and support were the things that appealed to me the most. I think as well. And you say Ryan Sigma on tank. Why those two tanks?
Um, Ryan's my boy. I just enjoy him so much.
He is great. He is great.
Yeah. But Sigma, I picked up just watching a few videos saying that he's a good secondary. He's good against Orisa, for example.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I, yeah, I mean, I play him just so I don't get shut out. But Ryan is kind of where my heart's at.
Okay, makes sense, makes sense. And then so Sigma, I mean, yeah, Sigma does cover some of his weaknesses for sure. And then support Moira, Lucio, Mercy. Okay, why those players?
Um, I've since I did the form, I've kind of been focusing a lot more on Moira.
Mm.
I enjoy it because I don't have the best aim, and I think Mora, in particular, she kind of has a focus on good positioning and stuff like that, and I seem to do better with game knowledge and like kind of spacing than I do with aim.
Yeah,
So I
makes
think
sense.
Mora rewarded that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, there's something satisfying about it. The dopamine of the damage orb ticks is just delightful. So
yeah.
yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. Okay, sounds good. So a little bit more Moira, a little bit more Ryan seems to be kind of the path that you're going.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense, makes sense. Okay, and then what rank are you at right now with your tank and support?
So I'm playing on a potato. So my ranks aren't really clear. Like I'm DQing out of a lot of
Gotcha.
matches just because my graphics card crashes.
Okay.
But I think medals for sure.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. So it tends to fluctuate a little bit right now. Now I'm actually kind of curious. What specs are you playing on right now? What frames do you get?
Oh, oof. I am thankfully upgrading my computer in the next week or two, but
Lovely. Lovely.
I God, I can send you a picture if you want. It's really just a Frankenstein of a. It's a 6-year-old gaming laptop, but it's
Okay.
like
Okay. Okay.
you know.
I guess okay, here's the thing: is you probably understand more about like what you're going to be doing with your upgrades and what exactly you need in terms of that. I'm more interested in if you have a good idea of what sensitivity you should be aiming to operate at, even if you aren't playing aim reliant heroes. So with your future upgrades, let's put it that way, how much mouse pad space are do you reckon that you're going to be working with?
Oh, well, mousepad. I already have a like a 12 by 12 mousepad.
Oh, lovely.
So
Awesome. Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. And what sensitivity are you planning on operating at, whether it's DPI in game sense? Do you know?
Let me look that up because I have it. I said it a long time ago.
Okay.
Uh, I have polling rate at no, it's red. I was actually going to ask you about mouse sensitivity because I can't
Yeah.
really find one I like. I have 1,000 DPI, and then let me confirm in game, but I think like 3%, something like that.
That's not
But
bad.
I can't. Yeah, I watch a lot of the videos about having it super low,
Yeah.
and I try to have it so like a full swing can look behind me.
Yeah.
Left or right on the mouse pad, but I'm
I
not quite
actually
sure where to put it.
I actually think with the heroes that you're playing, you could probably get away with bumping that up to, so you have 1,003, right? You could probably bump that up to like 1,005, 1,006 even with the heroes that you're playing. Yeah. So basically, whenever I'm like working with somebody, I want to make sure that they're not like, hey, I have like 1,000 DPI and like 97. I'm like, I literally had a player one time who had 1,600 DPI, and true story, I think it was 50 sensitivity. 50. Like they could literally do a 360 just by like sneezing. Is basically like where you're at. Yeah. So I want to make sure, as long as we're avoiding that, I linked you a video that you could check out if you're interested. I've always enjoyed IOStux's PSA method. That might be worth checking out. But I do think that like you could probably benefit from turning your sensitivity up just a teeny bit. Bumping it up to 3%, 4%, 5%, somewhere around there. But I as long as you got the mouse pad space for it, and what you're doing is, I think the more important thing, like you said, is upgrading that potato. So I think you're probably good to go. So spec wise, if you're not good now, you will be eventually good enough. So good to know.
Just curious
Yeah.
about. Well, like I've been trying to improve my aim, like Cassidy Alari, but for those heroes, what do you think the good specs would be?
I would say again, like the 1,000 DPI with like 4 or 5 would be fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, most Overwatch League hit scan players operate within like the 4,000 to 4,400, 4,800 EDPI, which is somewhere between 4 and 5%, somewhere around there. Let me actually make sure I'm actually thinking of the right thing here. Yeah. So somewhere a little bit higher than where you're at right now, but within your vicinity. And there are some support players, like a lot of flex support players, like Zen Ana players, actually operate closer to your sensitivity. So
okay.
yeah, I think your sensitivity is like, if it's not perfect, it's probably going to be good enough for just about anything you want to play. The only reason I would recommend turning it up a little bit is you are on the lower end, and playing characters like Moira, Reinhardt benefit from having a little bit on the higher end, but it's not a big deal. Like so, okay. Sleep per night 7 hours. That's not too bad. Could always be better. Don't want to be your mom, but hey, any little bit is better. Okay. What do you hope to get out of the session? I'm not sure what's holding you back. I would love to build a game plan to improve. Okay. So obviously ignoring the specs, which are going to be working to improve. We talked about Ryan and Moira. Now, I guess let's start with your hero pool. So first things first is, how much Overwatch are you playing per day, per week? You say 20 to 30. What is that looking like on the average day, the average week? Like you wake up or you do whatever, where is that time spent?
Yeah, usually it's go to work for 8 hours, come back, play for 4 to 5.
Okay,
probably 4-ish.
Makes sense.
And then on like a day off, play 6.
Sure, makes sense. And then how is that time spent in game?
I admittedly don't use practice range as much as I should, and like custom codes, but I think a lot of it is like quick play with friends.
Yeah.
I've been trying to branch out onto new heroes more and more.
Okay.
So I can play a few decently, but those are kind of my mains.
Okay. And then what about, like, do you do any deathmatch? Do you do any competitive?
I stopped doing competitive just with the recurrent game crashes, but I don't actually do a lot of deathmatch, if at all.
Okay. So let's set some goals more for like when your computer kind of situation gets sorted out. First thing you ought to be trying to do is to practice a little bit more effectively with the amount of time that you're spending in, if your goal is to improve and rank up just a little bit. So what I would do is I'm like, I basically just play quick play with friends. That's pretty much all I play. But if I wanted to improve, and I have in the past, there was like 6 months ago where I aimed for masters on all roles, and I had to prioritize ranked first, essentially. Like earlier in the day, first like hour or whatever of play time is going to be spent on playing ranked. So what I would do is I would log on, I would play a deathmatch game, about 10 minutes to warm up. No practice range. I actually think the practice range, I mean, I think the new like little aim thing is might be fun. I haven't really toyed with it enough. It's okay, you know, but it's just not as good as deathmatch, essentially, even if you are playing tank or support. So I would recommend sticking with deathmatch. Play a deathmatch round, jump into competitive mode. Obviously, when the computer situation is situated.
Right.
Then from there, I would probably aim for you. See, the tricky thing for you is you play 2 roles. That's a tricky thing. So if you're looking to like maximize improvement, you'd want to focus on 1 role, but also we don't want to steal the fun out of playing Moira and Ryan, right? So what I would do is I would consider trying having either a Moira day or a Ryan day, where you do like, okay, today I focus on Moira, tomorrow I focus on Ryan, right? Or do 50-50. Do 2 Ryan games, 2 Moira games, and competitive. And you go into those games and you're like really hyper focused on what you need to improve on, what you want to do better with those heroes, right? And then, you know, that's like an hour 10. And then you can do, after that's done, you've kind of done your most productive part of the day. And then from there, you do whatever the heck you want. You know, try different heroes, play quick play with friends, you know, screw around, do some Sigma stuff, you know, quick play, whatever you want. Because I think like it's about finding the balance between keeping the game fun, but being able to practice productively and competitive while focusing on the heroes that you're trying to improve at. That's the best practice that there is. That's really just the best practice that there is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, sure. No problem. And I think like that's like a good, very, very general guideline. You can always adapt that to whatever works better for you, or what you have time for, or what you feel like, or obviously if your hero pool changes, that can change things as well. And what I would recommend is to try and toy with that and adjust it. And then if you're like, well, should I do this or should I do that? Or what about this? Just message me as your situation changes, and I'll let you know what I would recommend. Okay, make sense so far?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. What are your long-term, short-term goals in Overwatch? Hit plat, be able to hit flow state while playing. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing with flow state. Okay, so flow state is where you are totally tuned in and you don't even realize that you're tuned in, right? Now, the thing that people don't always understand about flow state is that it is not a black and white thing. It is a spectrum. So if you are pretty focused on your play, like you're really hyper focused on your positioning, and you're kind of like just kind of really focusing on that, you're not thinking about it, you probably are to an extent in quote unquote flow state. The other thing to keep in mind with flow state is that flow state is best described as productively not thinking. You're just playing and reacting and feeling. But when you're learning or practicing, you don't generally go into full flow state very often. Why? You tell me.
Oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense, because you have to consciously build the habits
Right.
that are the flow state.
Exactly. So you're not going to be in flow state very often while you're practicing, and that's totally fine, which means that you're not going to be playing as well as you could, but that's not really the goal. It's just a drill. I think competitive even, it's like it's not the goal to perform, the goal is to practice. So I think that's something to keep in mind. Now, overall, you should be practicing so that you can automatically flow state or autopilot on those skills, but that takes time. Okay. What do you feel is holding you back from improving? You talked about your computer, aim, obviously sensitivity, and just reps, practice, deathmatch, quick play, competitive. That's going to help your aim. Autopiloting. Obviously, we talked a little bit about autopiloting. The funny thing is people talk about flow state and autopiloting, but a lot of times flow state and autopiloting are like one and the same. It's like what?
Oh, wow.
It's actually the same thing. Flow state is just autopiloting when you want to. Let me give you a good example. Did you compete in sports much growing up as a kid, or like compete in like competitive ventures?
Oh yeah, my whole life.
What sport or sports?
So I did fencing for a few years, chess
Sure.
for like 20 years.
Sure,
So,
perfect. So like even with fencing and chess, okay, so like let's say you're in a fencing match, right? And you've been practicing and you get into a match, right? The last thing you really want to be doing is to have a coach screaming in your ear telling you all these tiny little details that you need to be focusing on. You just need to fence. You've done all the practice. You're nervous. You're under a lot of pressure. All you need to do is just turn your brain off and fence, right? That's when people perform their best professionally, casually, whatever. It's not practice anymore. It's performance. You kind of see what I'm saying? And that's really what autopiloting is. That's what it's a productive autopilot. A lot of people in like even Overwatch esports, right? A lot of people at the pro scene struggle because they can't get out of their own head. They think too much. They try to process and oh, I need to be doing. They start to try to cognitively, consciously control their actions when really they should just be feeling and flowing, because the cognitively controlling of actions should have been happening in practice so that it doesn't happen in game. Do you see what I'm saying? So for you, autopiloting, flow state, all of those things are less important because there's no one game that matters when you're grinding ranked, because you can always just re-queue, right? You just keep practicing and keep practicing. Now, if you want to practice flow state, because you're like, I want to practice being able to compete with this, what you could do is you could practice some things, and then you could do one game a day or one game a week where you just go, I'm just going to play to win. I'm just going to see how I'm not going to practice. I'm not going to focus on my positioning or my cooling. I'm just going to beat the crap out of the enemy team. You kind of see what I'm saying? And that would be your goal of trying to control and aim for flow state, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that the 1 per day, 1 per week of focusing on nothing but winning. It seems like kind of the common practice is to just like do competitive all day and focus on nothing but winning.
Right. But there's a reason why a lot of people get stuck, and there's a lot of reasons why, or there's a lot of people, excuse me, that don't enjoy the process. Because obviously, if all you're doing is focusing on winning, you know that only goes so far, right? You can only win so many games. Even a top 500 player loses 45% of their games, right? So it steals the fun out of it, right? So if you're not enjoying the process of improving just for the sake of improving, then that's the problem. And the other thing too is when you're focusing on winning, I just posted a video today which talked about like counter swaps, right? When you focus on winning, you put more priority in counter swapping and doing this and hard calming and joining voice chat and getting mad at your teammates for not doing what you want them to do. When you're just focused on practice, it doesn't matter. I just need to get good with this character. And in the long run, that's the better mentality. That's the much better mentality. Not just in Overwatch, but in just anything that you're competing at. Because to win, you need to get good. How do you get good? By practicing. So if you want to win, you got to know how to practice productively. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Just a funny thing I heard, just a little bit of a side note, but
sure.
I heard this like sinister kind of pro tip where it was if somebody's beating you at a game, just compliment them and ask them what they're doing so well.
Oh my gosh, I've heard that tip too. Right, but you see it, right? When somebody's playing well, they're just playing. But if you start getting them to think about it, exactly, you throw a cinder block in the on the sprint track, and they exactly. That's actually a really good analogy. Okay, suboptimal ultimates as well. Is this with just all of your characters that you're struggling with the ults?
Yeah, I think I've been doing a little bit better and just kind of hanging on to it longer for the right time and like using it better, but it's usually either like holding on to it too long or holding on to it too little.
Okay, makes sense. We'll take a look in game. I don't really have any other questions from your forum. Do you have any questions for me?
No, I'm actually really excited for you to look at the videos I sent you because I rewatched them and I feel really good about my decisions. So I'd love to see kind of the parts I don't know.
Right. So for me to go, ha! You idiot! That was wrong.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to start with?
Ooh, I think either is fine. One's Moira, one's Rein.
Yeah.
The Rein one, for some reason I lost all my pinned shared videos.
Yeah,
this is the Moira one.
There's a really annoying patch that was not supposed to happen. Usually they happen on Tuesdays. It happened on a Thursday with the ELRA joining ranked. So it kind of threw a wrench in the cogs basically. So yeah, it's gonna wipe all your replays, which kind of sucks. Okay. So let me see here. So let's try to aim to get both done. So okay, let's talk about Moira. So what is Moira strong at? Because there's a couple of things that she could do pretty well. What are your impressions of the character?
I think she's really good at closing kills, taking an off angle, and um, I mean, I'm not sure another term for it, like
Sure.
disaster healing. Like everyone's
Yeah.
in critical.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's it, right? Like you got mobility, you can move around, you can do all sorts of stuff. Disaster healing is a great way of putting it, right? She has a monstrous amount of burst healing when the situation demands it, and I think like that's I put again coincidentally put out a video today talking about dynamics of hero play style and like how Moira's a hero that can 1v1 characters really well, but she can also put out that disaster healing. And if you're not trying to leverage both or looking at the situation and asking yourself which one makes more sense, then you're kind of trolling. So I think finding that dynamic, finding that balance is really, really important. So for example, right now, you can 1v1 the Arya, you can 1v1 Hanzo, you can 1v1 Kiriko. And while you can't kill a Bastion outright, you can kind of annoy him and basically not let him kill you. Same thing goes with Doomfist, right?
Mhm.
Look, make sure that okay. You have no problems with your stream, right? You can see.
Yeah, and also, I just wanted to mention that I'm totally fine if we only go to one of these and focus on it. We don't have to multitask our time.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's a shorter game, and I don't mind running a little bit over, so we'll see. Okay. So one thing I will say with Moira is you always need to ask yourself, do I need to save heal orb? I think that's like the number one question you need to be asking yourself. Because if you look at the situation right here, you could have already used damage orb and built some coalescence and pressured / annoyed these guys. Now you look at this, you're like, what does damage orb really do versus these guys? Is it going to actually kill them?
No.
No, but what is it going to do?
It is going to annoy them, for
right.
sure.
It's going to force them to heal a little bit.
Collective damage.
Right. Maybe force some resources. Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's like that pressure, even though it's not necessarily leading to a kill, is obviously, as we already said, is going to generate some ult charge for you, which is important. But it's also just going to cause a little bit of disruption, right? Now, here's the other thing here. You said 100. It's actually 200. 200. So you throw this damage orb right here. Yeah. This has the potential to do 200 damage split between those 3 targets.
Okay.
Yeah. So a little more pressure. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So something I've been trying to do is only shoot orb in a place where I can get it to bounce back and get 2 passes, but. In this case, you think it's okay just a single pass up the top?
100%. In fact, I think forcing yourself to only get bounces is going to reduce the amount of value that you get because you're going to miss opportunities that you could have orbed. It's not a long cooldown, right? It's only 8 seconds, I believe. Let me actually check here. Yeah, only 8 seconds. So if you could orb now, let's take a look at the clock here, 3:56. Orb now, and then now when you actually orb, you'd actually only be 1.5 seconds away from your next orb. That's the funny thing. You kind of see what I'm saying? So again, kind of going back to that question, do I need to save heal orb? I look at this situation right here and I see my Orisa walking forward and I see poke composition. I don't think you need to save orb. I say throw out that damage orb, and if your Orisa gets one shot, that's more on her. She has the survivability to survive without the heal orb briefly. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
And then the other key thing is finding balance between right click and left click. So for you, it's like, okay, you see your resource here in the middle? Can you see it? It's out. Right? It's gone. Yeah. It is totally gone. So what's your priority right now?
Well, normally I prioritize damage. I was playing with a team that they like to block with their face, so this game in particular, I did a lot more heals than normal.
Sure, and that makes sense. But let me try to think of it the good way of describing it. If there's a team that has struggled with like keeping themselves alive, yes, healing might be more of a priority. But if you don't find healthy ways of finding damage orb opportunities, right-click opportunities, you're going to run out of resource regardless. So you need to not only consider your damage just because, oh, it's a good thing to do, but also if you want to heal better, you also need to be damaging more often. Does that make sense? Because right now,
totally.
your resource is empty, so you have to damage. It's not a question of, oh, whether it's more. You have to damage. So right now, it's like you're continuing to puff. But instead, if you'd had a little bit more awareness of like that Doomfist just a little bit faster, you could have gotten that suck on him a little bit faster. 50, 60 damage, you get your resource back, now you're good to go. Now, again here, the question is, do you think that you're going to need Heal Orb anytime soon? Not, oh, I could use one, but need Heal Orb anytime soon.
In retrospect, seeing from the kind of the team and how they didn't really like to stay alive, I think I might.
You might, okay? But in most
But
circumstances here.
At this point, I would prioritize damage orb normally.
I think so too, especially when I see the squishies in front of you. You see that Kiriko? Half HP. That 30, 40, 50, 60 damage from that damage orb, oh my days, that's going to matter a lot more, I think. And the thing too is also, so you talk about your team, they like to face tank a lot here, right? You damage orb this Kiriko and this Iliari, what are they going to do positionally? Where are they going to go?
Probably to the right.
Right.
Cover.
Oh, stop. What can you not do when you're in cover? So like, let's say they move this way, right? Who can they not see now?
Yeah, the team.
And they're not doing damage now. So all of a sudden, does your Orisa need healing anymore? You get me?
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's a prevention's worth a pound of cure. So I'm not saying always do damage so you don't need to do healing, but there is a balance there. And in addition to that, are you aware that damage orb regenerates your resource?
Yes.
Okay, so that's another important one to utilize as well. So heal orb into fade for yourself, that's fine. Now I like this. I like this because you're thinking, you know, I'm DPS Moira, yeah, right? But this guy needs to die. This guy needs to die. He's isolated. You have orb. He's also half HP. Who should win this 1v1 99% of the time? Me. So win the 1v1. Throw the damage orb. Let's go. Honestly, just too slow in the damage orb. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think just a little bit faster that damage orb and you get him. Nice. Brilliant, right? There you go. Good job. Now, if you notice that your team has not instantly died either, right? Why? Because where is their biggest damage dealer? Besides Bastion. Where was Hanzo, right?
Right, yeah, he's, you know,
doing you. So if you're not going to heal your team, make sure that one of those damage dealers is looking at you. And you did. That's exactly what you did. So, okay. Love to see it. Use that damage orb ASAP. Yes, thank you. Right click, right click, right click, right click. Probably didn't need fade there. But yeah, this is good. Little heal orb bounce there. Love to see it. I mean, bounces are always good if you can get them, you know? But this is another one of those situations where if you look really carefully, I think her HP is high enough, especially now that she's popped Fortify here. I think her HP is high enough for you to justify throwing a damage orb at these guys right here. You see these squishies again? You know? More damage, more resource. I think it's worth doing, right? Because the problem now is like, oh, I got to heal my Orisa, but the heal orb is now gone. Your resource is now gone. And you miss the opportunity to pressure these squishies. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It was a good try on the heal orb bounce, but again, it's another one of those circumstances where it's like, was it 100% necessary? Would have been better here to just damage orb these squishies instead. You know, probably. Yeah, they're a little far. If you can help them, great. If they're too far away for you to safely help them, it's fine. Good heal orb. Right click, right click, right click, right click, right click. Even if it's just a little bit of damage on Diva, you know? It's still damage, right? Yeah, get it. Nice. Nice, right? Now, let's talk about this, okay? Is this aggressive? Yeah, yes, it's very aggressive.
Yeah.
But why did you think that this was going to work? What made you think this?
Lucier gave me ult.
Yes,
yeah.
right there, right? So yeah, go for it. And I also love the combo here. You throw the damage orb at a squishy, and then immediately combo with your ultimate. So maximum DPS, right? There it is. You see it? Damage orb and Cole. The guy's cooked. Moira tries to match, but Moira diff, right? And now you have, and now by the time the beat's expired, right? What do you now have in your bag at the bottom right of your cooldowns? You see?
Orb, yeah, for
Yeah.
when
Orb,
Coalescence ends.
orb when Coalescence ends, and fade before Coalescence ends if you want to, right? So if you get shot right now and you're like, oh crap, I gotta get out, you got fade. You're good to go. Love it. Damage orb there is pretty good. I mean, obviously D.Va might eat it, so you gotta be careful with that, but that's good. The only thing I would say here is if you were to throw your damage orb, where would you want to throw it before you fade out? You see it?
Ooh, the Hanzo?
The Hanzo. This is where you're thinking maybe a little bit about your bounce theory, right? Maybe I get a bounce off a wall here, but don't think as much about the bounce. Think about the damage orb pressure on this guy. I think, I'm fairly certain, I think a damage orb single pass without bouncing, I think does around 75 damage. I think it's around 75 damage. Yeah, it is. I'm fairly certain it's around 75 damage. I could actually go in the practice range. I might do that later, but I'm fairly certain it's around 75 damage. So even if you just throw damage orb and it doesn't bounce, it just launches itself into the void, you know, it's 75 damage. That's good damage, you know, and that's good resource too, right?
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's pretty significant. Again, why are you prioritizing damaging a Hanzo and not healing your team? Because is this guy killable?
He seemed killable, and I thought I would help the Genji.
I think so too, right? I think so too. You're not always going to make perfect decisions. But if your decisions have like, okay, I thought this guy was killable, go for it. Even the damage orb, right? Unfortunately, he lunges away. But this kill is really important, right? Good. Good. Just aim the damage orb a little bit better, and this guy's dead. I mean, literally, look at this thing. 13 HP. Kind of sucks. Oh no. Oh, it's your. I thought it was your orb, but it was the echo. Okay, I was like, wait, no way.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. Well, that's unfortunate. You get hit by the Iliari ult. Check this out. You wanna see something funny? Watch this. You come out of fade, and the ult just goes BAM! It smacks you.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah. That's bad timing. Good bounce with the heal orb here. Definitely feels like you probably need it here, right? Nice. Dodge on the remech. And do you notice, by the way, because you've been spending so much time DPSing on that Hanzo, that you came into that fight? What was the chaos healing? Shoot, what was the term that you used?
Oh, disaster healing.
Disaster healing, right? You had it, right? You had the heal orb. But when you faded in here, look at your resource, right? Almost full, right? And guess what? You needed it. You needed it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly why your team is surviving as long as it is. Maybe even heal orb this now. Yeah, there you go. And so for Moira, it's not just about like, you know, the quantity of healing, but the quality, right? And so like right now, because you were DPSing, you had a glut of healing when your team really needed it. Really nice job. My only question here is, what on earth are you doing right now?
I think I faded out to safety.
It just kind of looks like you backed off. I don't really understand why. Like if you're out of resource, right click a son of a gun, right? Build that resource back. Do some pressure, right? So I just am not quite sure why you backed off. Because this fight is still winnable. Good heal orb, but now I'm not so sure. Look at that, 0.01 meters. That is actually, I have never seen that before. Good damage orb, get some of that resource back, build some ult charge. Good heal orb there as well. Good heal here. Now, again, do you think this demands a heal orb just yet?
In retrospect, no.
Right. I mean, it's just about throw a damage orb. Pressure these guys out. Whoops. Pressure these guys out instead, right? Use it there instead. And then you also get the resource back too, right? So.
Yeah, my logic there was people were taking a lot of damage when I was gone, and I was just going to bounce it back and forth while people engage.
Sure.
Even then, should I just throw damage orb?
I think if you can get a great bounce, I'm okay with it. But unfortunately, it ends up not really being used, right?
Okay.
So I don't think it was a bad heal orb. We've had worse orbs to worry about, but it's something to kind of consider.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Again, here, I don't see anybody who's really under a lot of pressure. use that damage orb to finish off this Moira. Throw this damage orb up at the soldier. Get this guy off of high ground, right? Get him out of here, right? And with a good bounce on that damage orb, that might do like 100 damage, 200 damage. You can use Cole just to secure this fight. I think this is okay. You really need to cap this.
So,
good.
I was waiting for Moira to use her for hers to finish. Should I have just popped it?
Pop it whenever. Yeah, if you need... Cole is like... The best way to think of Cole is it's a tempo ultimate. So whenever you use it, you're taking charge of the fight. Like, the fight is now going for our team. It's not necessarily an ultimate that's going to counter something, but it will give your team an advantage in a fight. So if you're looking at this fight here and you're like, I don't know if we're going to win this or not, right? Just use it. Just use it.
Okay.
As long as the fight is not totally won or totally lost, use it. Yeah, get her. Get her, get her, get her. And one thing you could do in these kind of situations where it's like deathmatch with a 2v2, right click, right click, right click, right click, right click. Give this Orisa a little puff just to use that heal over time, right? And then go right back to right clicking again. Min-max that heal. Because that heal over time is super potent. And using that puff will allow you to do more damage. Good try in the right click. I mean, this fight is crazy. And we cap! Finally. I was getting concerned.
I know.
Good heal orb there for a little bit of the bounce. Totally fine with me. Nice. Focusing that down is really good. And again, I think... Here's what I think, all right? I think these proactive heal orbs are okay if you're sure that the target's going to take a lot of damage. Like, if you look at this here and you're like...
kind of at that point.
Right. But look very carefully. I know this is like Overwatch. You can't see jack all half the time. My stream quality is probably not helping either. But look at this Orisa. You see this? Full HP, and she's in the middle of Fortify. I don't know if you know what this looks like. This is what it looks like. Do you know what Fortify does for Orisa?
Right. Oh, yeah. I have like 20-30 hours on Orisa.
You're one of those degens like me. Orisa's fun. Okay, so but you can kind of see the problem here, right? Like this sunburst is gonna detonate, and it's gonna barely do. Nothing.
Oh wow.
Right.
Okay.
Nothing. Right. Nothing. It's 120 damage, but that's not including the Fortify damage reduction. And even without Fortify, it's still affected by armor too. So it's just irrelevant. So again, it's not that this heal orb is useless. It's not useless. It's a question of, would a damage orb be better served up on the Sojourn up here, bouncing off the wall and hitting her, or would have been better served to, oh, Iliari's landed, let's suck her out, you know, right? That's kind of the question, right?
Seems like 9 times out of 10 it's just damage orb.
A lot of it is damage orb. Heal orb is like, let's put it heal orb this way. It's damage orb until proven otherwise. Heal orbs are crucial in those moments of really people are low, you need to get it out there. Very important that you make that decision right, but the vast majority of the time it's damage orb. What I would say is it's damage orb, but then the 10% of the times when it's heal orb, it's really important that you do heal orb. Heal orb would be your team is all critical, your tank is critical, you are critical, or dueling somebody. Remember when you were dueling somebody, was it the Huns over here, and you threw the heal orb for yourself way over here, right? When you were low,
yeah.
That's a heal orb situation, right? You're low, give it for yourself. But this kind of thing, like, do you anticipate your Genji get burst here? No, right? So you're thinking, oh, I get a nice bounce here, but you got maybe 20 healing out of that, right? Okay. That's the main takeaway here. Whereas a damage orb here, super annoying. You get the full 200 damage if you throw it at this guy. Big clump, big resource, big ult charge, big pressure, perfect. Like right there, watch this Moira's HP. This was not all your damage orb, but a lot of it was. Watch. And here comes the damage orb right here, I think. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so watch your HP. Tick, 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 tick. You probably, you probably did about 40 damage to her from that damage orb. 40 damage to that damage orb. So that forces her fade out, and now she's out of position, and now the Iliari turret has to heal her. That's good. It's good value, right? And that also can bounce too, right? Whoops, what happened here? Holy smokes. Oh, you got the wink. It happens. Good. Now again, you know, did you need healing? Did somebody over here need healing? You know? Damage, 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 damage. Good. That's unfortunate. I mean, she literally got one shot, right? She fortified way too late. And now Heal Orb ain't gonna save that, right? So that's not your fault. Oh, I can smell it.
So I wasn't sure whether to focus the turret first, just because it's so darn good.
I think it's fine.
Damage.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think the only thing I'll nitpick about this, number one, obviously a little bit of a risk to do so with your Orisa dead, but their Diva's D-Mech, so whatever, okay? This is the mistake right here. Fade.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
With the new Cole, it's unnecessary. Because remember, what can you do mid-Cole now?
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Fade, but I feel like that takes away 2 critical seconds of ulti, no?
No, it doesn't even last that long. I'm actually going to check the duration here. Yeah, it's 0.75 seconds.
Oh,
so it's
okay.
less than a second. And the reason why it's important to Cole then fade is because when you coalescence, the enemy team is going to go, and I quote, "Ah!" Right? And they're going to split. They're going to run over. They're going to go in a million different directions at once. In fact, let's actually just sit right here and whip out our popcorn and see what happens. So you've Cole here. Look at all the chaos that you've created here. They go in 3 different directions at once. Now, do you want to chase the Iliari? Do you want to focus on the Cassidy? Do you want to fade to high ground and kill the isolated Sojourn? Do you want to focus these guys over here? Do you see that because you've used your fade, you don't get to choose now? You've limited your options. So if you Cole, wait for the enemy team response, you now have the opportunity to choose. Do you want to push? Do you want to pull? Do you want to go on a DPS? Do you want to go to high ground? You have that option available to you. Now, you don't have the option. You can only really go for what's on your screen right now. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
So use Cole, see how the enemy team responds with it. I mean, I would push with it, right? I wouldn't necessarily sit in my own backline. And then fade with what opportunity you see. Like right now, if you had fade, what would you do? Would you fade this way and avoid the Cassidy LOS and kill the Iliari? Yeah. Would you fade into the Cassidy? Would you fade to high ground? I think those are all feasible options, right? But you don't get to choose any of them. Nice. Invisible Coal Bug, awesome.
Yeah.
Nice damage orb right there. I mean, look at that. That's huge value. Ooh, good spray, good spray. Maybe heal orb. Yes, yes. I was gonna say heal orb this, right? Makes that get a nice bounce. A lot of people are critical. Very nice. Bit of a blind damage orb. That's okay. Just make sure you know like exactly what you're going for. Good use of cover here. You could heal orb that, right? Critical guy. Throw the heal orb. He's good. Nice. So the last 2 heal orbs have been really quite good, right? Very reasonable.
Awesome. Thank you.
Nice purge on the Sunstruck. Little tip with a Sunburst. So it's fine to fade it. You can also wait for it to detonate and then fade it.
Oh, okay.
The only problem is that if you wait till it detonates and then fade it, it will hurt people around you, so make sure that there's nobody around you. But yeah, this is fine. That's another reasonable heal orb, right? Look at that tank HP. Probably necessary. Like the right click here, so it's really good. You need that resource back. You need to keep her up. Oh, nice. Again, not necessary, right? Look at the situation here. You got a Moira here, you got Iliari here, Sojourn here, Bastion up here. Damage orb in any of these targets matters a lot more And your Lucio ends up almost using what, maybe 30 of your healing orb resource. The heal orb, most of the time, heal orb is that chaos, like disaster healing or self healing. That's like the two ways of looking at it. Does that make sense? If you don't need a disaster healing and you don't need self healing, generally damage orb is going to be better. Nice. Yeah, this is good. A little bit of right click here, a little bit of right click. Nice. All right, Shirley. Oh no. Oh, she really wants that remac. Again, that damage, that heal orb almost lost you this map. Do you win this map? Oh no, you do. Because look at this. This damage orb needs to be thrown right now to get that baby diva down. It's gonna take half of her HP down. But you heal orb first. So she almost remax because you heal orb. You see that?
I do now, yeah.
It's scary. Micro here. Give it a puff on your Orisa, then right click. Puff, then right click. Puff on your Genji, then right click, right? Just a little heal spray, then right click. That's a pretty good heal orb because you needed the healing. Oh, come on. Now, wait a second. How do you guys lose this? How do you guys lose this? There's no way. Damage orb there was good, but you just didn't aim it very well, so it bounces off the card. Get on the Iliari. Get on it. No way you guys lose this. Heal orb there, totally unnecessary, right? Everyone's beat HP. That would have been helpful to kill one of these squishies faster. Oh my goodness gracious, there's no way. Okay, look at it! You damage orb though! Look at the kill feed! There's no way! This is great. Oh no.
I think I held really well for a minute, but it was just 1v4.
Yeah. There's the self-heal orb, right? Yeah, okay. Let's finish this sucker up. Let's see what we got. Oh no. The only thing I'd say is about the orbs is just obviously just be careful about throwing them right at the diva. It's pretty easy to just flash that matrix. A little bit slow on that healing there. Is this it? Do we lose this? Wait, I want to see. Heal orb again. Yes, that's a good heal orb, right? That keeps you alive. Stay on that mercy or the turret. Nice fade. Good try in the damage orb, just a little bit late. Stay on that mercy. Get her. Nice fade. Oh no, the heal orb is just. Wait, do you guys please tell me you guys win this? No. Oh, it's a good try. Okay. Yeah. So with Moira, what are you saying? What needs to be practiced? We'll have a little time to look at your run. So what are you saying with your Moira?
I really appreciate the advice on the damage orbs. I mean, like looking at the actual output now and realizing it's like 30, definitely gonna change that habit.
Okay, so when do you heal orb?
I think when everything's going to hell, like it seemed like it was working.
So healing or self-healing, right? Otherwise, damage orbs for pressure, ult charge, and healing resource. Okay. What else did you see with you? That was the main one with your Moira. Are there any other details that you think you can improve on? You saw.
I like the puff right click.
Utilize your puff. Heal over time more, then damage can weave in.
And I actually really like the advice on. Man, I saw like the #1 Moira just do it once, and that's like all I've been doing is just like fade behind everyone and then coalesce. But I think it makes perfect sense to use fade to react because I was using it just for like perfect positioning and then lose that resource.
Now I will say that there's always nuance. So if you see what Moira was it that you were watching?
Oh, let's see. I forget his name, but I have the video saved.
Sure. So
The
basic.
DPS Moira though, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Let me actually see if I can find anything. If you ever find anything on Nolan, Moira, highly recommend Nolan. But anyway, so
NOLEN.
yeah, Nolan, Moira. If you want, I can even ask him for some VODs if you'd like.
What?
Yeah.
Sure. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, remind me if remind me actually. Message me in a couple days and I'll reach out to him. So he's a super nice guy. Anyway, long story short, the Cole then fade makes sense if you need it to reach a position that you wouldn't otherwise reach, right? Like you're like, I can't reach those guys in the back, so I'm gonna with my Cole, so I'm gonna fade then Cole. That's fine. But if you can already shoot people with your Cole that you can like right now without needing to fade, then don't fade. Like if you consider, if we go back to the stream here, if you consider when you were here, right? You already were shooting people, right? You just press Cole here. You're on the squishies. That's all you need, right? You didn't need to fade deeper. You were already where you needed to be. Does that make sense? So what I would do is if you want to fade then Cole, do it when you can't reach the squishies that you want to coalesce. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If you can reach them, then Cole first, then they try and run away and you chase them with fade, if that makes any sense. Okay, let's any questions before we jump into some Reinhardt?
No. It's all been pretty clear.
Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm messaging my next session. Okay, just letting the next session know what the deal is. All right, let's take a look at some Reinhardt. So, two super fun characters back to back. Ryan is great.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So admittedly, I was pretty tired in doing this. So there are like some tech that I miss, like I hit walls I shouldn't have hit. But I think a lot of the decisions are solid and kind of a good example of where I'm at right now, skill level.
Okay, sounds good. I mean, obviously the tech and stuff like that is kind of like, I wouldn't say it's irrelevant, but it's like not the end of the world, right? You practice more, you stop making those mistakes. What we want to do is try and figure out where you're messing up, where your understanding isn't there. So let's start with that, right? So like, what is Ryan good at?
He's like you got to be like 5 feet from somebody, but he's the best at that.
Yeah, I mean, really,
he's really good at payload too. But,
sure. Anytime you need an anchor tank, anytime you need a spot controlled, anytime you want to hit people with a hammer, he's your guy. Like he's good at beating tanks, he's good at beating supports, he's good at beating DPS, and now he's new and improved in Overwatch 2 because you can control your charge better, you can cancel it, and it's on a lower cooldown. So everything about him is try to make space by hitting people with your hammer. If you hit the enemy tank with your hammer, the enemy team will focus you and they won't focus your team. That's protecting your team. If you go and swing on supports, if you go swing on their DPS, that's protecting your team because they're looking at you, not your team. Now, could you shield people sometimes? Yes, but most of your space creation, quote unquote, is going to be by hitting and hurting people, right? So, let's go.
I watched your tank vid.
Good.
So, yeah, the like, what is a tank?
Right. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. Now they're down a couple because people are not choosing characters. Nice. Smoked. Nicely done. Obviously easier when they're only, they're still missing a few, but hey, we take it, right? Uh-oh, they went Reinhardt. And then he left. See, this is kind of it. If you could do this safely, do it. Because this soldier's a threat, right? Look at him. He's trying to sneak up onto your backline. Don't let him do it, right? Even if do you need to kill this guy for you to tank effectively?
No, I think I throw a fire strike and just go back.
Right. Make him run away, get him out, and be like, all right, well, you can run into Kingdom Come. I can't chase you. I'm not Wrecking Ball, but I can make sure that you can get away. So chase, throw a fire strike, and then go back and be like, all right, who needs a beating now? Right? That's exactly it. This is tanking right here. Good fire strike.
I lose some good fire strikes here because I mean it's quick play. I start waving at the Rein. He doesn't wave back, you know.
Oh no. Oh no, disaster, disaster. See, the real Chad move is to just to throw in a mode out there and to see if they mirror their mode, you know. And if they don't, you know, you die, but it's their fault. It's not your fault, you know. So nice fire strike here. That's a good fire strike. I think always doing what you're doing here, where it's like you aim for the Rein, but you also aim for the person behind the Rein. And I mean, and there it is. You see it? Look at Kiriko, right? Look at that. That's awesome. Not the skin, but the hitting her with the fire strike, right?
Right.
And you're also like, oh no, I didn't hit anybody, but check this out. Deflect down, right? Doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Good try. That fire strike obviously needed to hit. It hits his shield, but not him. Now, why are you swinging on Reinhardt here? This is the age-old question. Why swing Rein when squishies do trick?
Yeah.
Now, you initially should be swinging on Reinhardt because look at his positioning in comparison to his team. Watch. Right? Obviously, focus on Reinhardt. What are you going to do? Reach these guys? You don't even have pin, right? But expect them to present themselves to you, because look what happens. Watch the red circles. Rein goes in. I mean, what are they gonna do? Just stand there, right? They walk forward. Do you see that? This is your opportunity to hit the guy a couple times, smack him in the mouth, and then beat the crap out of Moira, beat the crap out of Kiriko, especially now that you have your charge, right? So you're very focused on pin Rein, which is fine, but it would be even better here is hit the Rein a little bit. These sports walk forward, smack them in the mouth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then even here, you're still chasing this Rein. Man, screw this guy. Hit these guys. You're right there. Like, watch this. This is actually pretty funny from a bird's eye view. Watch this. Rein, okay, I missed my pin. He goes in. Watch this. You guys are just like walking right next to each other. Anyway, see you guys.
The tunnel vision.
You see it? You see that? Right. But we have to be very specific about what you're tunnel visioning on. It's on the tank trade when there's supports elsewhere. Remember, you as a Reinhardt can do very well in the tank trade. It's not bad to focus tank. It's bad to focus tank when there are other options available. There won't always be options available. It might be Rein that you need to be hitting on, but it might not be Rein. And so while you're focusing Reinhardt here, look at that, right? Nice. Yes! But no! Get the Kiriko! You know?
Yeah.
Good shatter.
I think I ended up dying for those.
You know, but goes fire strike and one fire strike and one swing. You'll have time, and she's dead. Nice shatter, though. Nice shatter. Okay, let's keep going. All roads lead back to hitting people with your hammer with Reinhardt. All right, let's go. I love the train skin.
It's so much fun.
He has so many good skins.
So many times to just hear the train.
Okay. All right. What's the mistake here? Obviously, you got shattered.
And I should have seen it coming.
The number one thing you could be doing to block a shatter as Reinhardt, the number one thing to block an earth shatter is just simply expect it to happen. So we talk about ult tracking as being a pretty esoteric high level skill, but for Reinhardt's in the mirror, it is pretty important that you track it because it's easy to react to something when you expect it to come. When you don't expect it to happen, then what are you gonna do, right? Like for example, if like your house exploded right now and you had to do a fire drill, you'd probably be wetting your pants. Like what's going on? Whoa, wait, what? Right? But if you expect something to come, then you're gonna be able to react that much faster. That was probably the worst analogy I think I've ever used. So
it's okay.
You know he has shatter here. So is it still gonna be a challenge to block the shatter? Yes. But you're gonna make it a lot easier if you're thinking, okay, he's got shatter, he's got shatter, he's got shatter, he's got shatter. Now there are workshop codes out there that can help you block the shatter. I don't know if you're familiar with any of those, but they're out there. If you're interested, I can send you one really quick.
Sure, thank you.
Because I actually had a session not too long ago where I was whining that I didn't know the shatter sessions, and somebody linked it in the comments, and I'm gonna have to find it. Where is it? Yeah, okay, I got it. Here
Is there Is there like a giant directory somewhere by any chance of like
I
all
I
the different heroes and
I
the
I
needed
think there is.
codes?
I think there is. Bless Karq, because I actually think he has a video on that very same thing. It's a little outdated, but maybe it still works. One workshop for every hero, Karq. Maybe.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I don't know if all those are going to be still up to date, but at least at the time of that video, there's some of them were decent. But yeah, the code that just above it is the Reinhardt shatter and panning and all that kind of stuff code. So yeah, so that will help you. Once you know that he has shatter, now you can kind of predict and react a little bit faster, hopefully. So my question is, were you even thinking shatter right now? I guess is the question.
No.
And if
no.
right, and so that's the mistake here. It's not, oh, my mechanics or my reaction speed bad. It's like you just weren't even thinking shatter. And sayonara. Wait, what? Oh, you just respawn fast. I forget how close these fights are. Like, you're right there already. This game mode somehow feels like a million miles away and yet close at the same time. I understand. I understand. I understand. Probably not worth dying for. Like, but I understand. Okay, let's see what we got. This is the flashpoint shuffle where everybody runs in 7 different directions. Look at that. Wait, is that actually? Wait, is that? What is it? What is that? Is that a different ball? Wait. Yo, that's a robot ball. She does it with a volleyball, I think.
Oh, it's so cool.
And so it's a different ball for a different skin. I didn't know that. Dang. Okay, there you go. Because I have that emote, and I was like, wait, I don't recognize that ball. I've never seen that ball before. Well, there you go. Love this. Love this. Hanzo's there. So you go into this fight, and you know we're kind of down one here, right? So we just need to be a little bit careful, right? Now, your team is already walking forward, so yeah, you got to go help them, right? You can't stay there and be like, oh, it's wait, or Hanzo's in spawn, you know? You need to go fight. But just kind of keep that in mind, right? Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Good pivot to the soldier there, right? Nice pivot. I mean, look at that. They fold like a... What folds? An envelope? They fold like something.
Dominoes!
Dominoes! Yes, see, that's it, see? Nice. Get her. Get her. Trust your fire strike mechanics. Trust your fire strike mechanics. Even in that range, remember, it's a slightly more DPS to swing into fire strike, right? So, like, when I see this here... First off, I'm going to try and lead that fire strike to hit her. But second off, immediately here, I'm going to swing fire strike right here. This fire strike should be already coming out. And if it hits, I think it kills her. Yeah, it probably would have killed her.
Was this too much tunneling?
No. No, they're dead. You're just chasing squishies. As long as you don't die for it, which I don't think you're going to die for it because it's just the Moira. So I wouldn't stay here. I would go back to my team. But yeah, you're fine. They're still, I mean, they're still in spawn, right? Like the Moira is still in spawn, right? So it's fine. And then here, you got to go, okay, soldiers over here, honestly, hit on them, right? Same kind of thing, right? Because there's nothing really of threat here right now, so you've got a little bit of time to go clear him out.
I don't know if I saw him, but I mean, that's definitely the play.
Yeah, maybe you didn't. The Sonic, I don't know if your Sonic arrow from your Hanzo caught him or not. But yeah, okay. Let's see what we got. Shatter time! I'm excited.
This one was juicy.
Oh no. Bar is gonna be set really high now. This is where I would be shielding. One of the few times you see your Bastion turret form frontline, I think it's worth a shield here.
Oh right, I get shattered in the face, yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna... Oh no! Did you know that he had shatter?
Nope.
Okay,
no,
well there's your problem, right?
Get saved by my Anna.
Ah, yes. This will do it. Nice fire strike. Nice swings. Nice and juicy. And there you go. Good pin. Fire strike. Walk. You had enough HP to walk on him, to be honest. Yes. Good. Too far away. Find somebody else. Get him. Nice. Okay. Let's watch one more fight. You got time for one more fight?
Sure, yeah.
All right, let's take a look then. Now this is where things get really rough. You're like, where do I go? You know, like, where do I go, right? So you tell me, where do you go?
I think the team actually got lost for a minute.
Right,
in this fight.
right. So it's tricky, right?
But
So
we found it, yeah.
So what's your goal here? What is Reinhardt good at? You want to hit people with your hammer, and you were also saying stuff like, hey, I can also like anchor on point and payload and stuff like that, right? So what do you think? Obviously, we're cheating here because we're giving you like a nasty bird's eye view that you didn't have in the moment. So what do you think?
Right. Probably either pin left ramp and then try and clear them out, or just sit on point with shield.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable too. I think also you could have predicted, hey, Genji soldier are probably coming this side, so I'm gonna pin over here and make sure that they can't do anything from over here, kind of control this space here. But again, the idea is either I'm going to go survive on point or I'm going to move towards squishies. Like, you're not gonna pin onto squishies, but you can get closer to them than where you're at right now. Just take action, right? Because here you're just like shielding and waiting and waiting. Just make an action, right? Make it action. Find a squishy, get onto it. Because here you're pinning onto Ryan, right? And now I know what you're going to do here, right? You're going to swing on Ryan. But the problem is that, do you see how the squishies are literally right next to you? Are you going to see that in time? Keep her up. Keep walking. Keep walking. Keep walking. Keep walking. Keep walking. Good. Keep walking. Not a very accurate pin, but the right idea. She's got fade. Get her out. Good try with the fire strike. Get her, get her, get her, get her, get her. So obviously I think you look at this and you're like, oh, no way. Get her, get her, get her, get her. Come on, come on, come on. Fire strike mechanics.
This one, if I did the jiggle on the camera, I could have killed the Kiriko and then I would have had shatter.
Yes.
But I miss it by like 2%. And
yes,
then,
dragging the camera for active hitbox or whatever for the Emirate. Yeah, I think it's like you're doing the right things for the most part this fight. You're just not quite hitting the fire strikes. You're not quite aiming the pins perfectly. Like you said, the mechanics of your swing not perfect as well. Okay, so Ryan here. What needs to be practiced with your Reinhardt?
It sounds like it's definitely prioritizing squishies.
Prioritizing squishies with damage when you can, right? Not always going to be possible. They're going to be played in positions or behind tank or, not accessible positions, but generally prioritizing squishies. Okay, what else?
I should definitely track ult charge for tank. That's something I'm lacking.
Tank, ult charge. I think that's actually just a good thing to do regardless. They have primal rage. Orisa has her ultimate. I think that's a good way to because it does affect how you play to an extent, right? It does affect how you play. Okay. Anything else that you saw? How about mechanics? Anything micro?
Sorry, just looking at my notes.
Sure.
I think just improving the pins. I was bumping into things. I normally don't do that nearly as often, but I think the more abstract answer is this is more just good proof that I should, get more sleep and like not play the kind of long grindy sessions I normally do.
Sure. I wouldn't say your mechanics were bad. It just needs to keep practicing. I would also I threw in the little mid-range fire strikes as well, where it looked like sometimes you were chasing squishies where you need to trust your fire strike mechanics to hit them. You're not going to hit every one. It's a projectile, right? You're going to miss probably half of them, but it's 100 damage, right? You got to go for it. You got to trust your mechanics to practice those, like whether it's the Moira or the Kiriko or whatever else running away. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions about Moira, Ryan, practice, anything else?
Sorry, just writing that down.
No worries.
Ooh, so I think with these characters don't have any questions. Or you've answered all my questions.
Okay.
I would say So actually, I'm wondering sort of. So on the aim side, which is admittedly not really the two characters we're talking about today. Um, my DPI was probably even like 2,000 for Ilari, which I'm now seeing as like way too low. But I'm wondering how hit scan players have that DPI so high and they can still make those little shots. I mean, like, what are some tips for that kind of micro aiming that you would suggest?
Practice would be the big one. I mean, that's always the easiest solution. But the thing is that you're probably, most people do whenever they're making any significant movement, it's arm aiming, right? Like your whole arm has to move, right? And that's healthy. But when we're talking about like micro little adjustments, let me actually, a good way of explaining this would be to just do this. So I operate on 1600 DPI and on 2. So it's about 3200. It's a little bit higher than yours, all right? So when I'm doing this flick here, I'm actually just aiming with my wrist, right? This is just all my wrist. This is my wrist.
Sorry,
rotating left, rotating right.
Can't see it yet.
Click on my face. Yeah, there you go. It's a little bit awkward when I stop and restart Discord stream. Are you back in?
Well, I only see your profile picture.
Click on my profile picture, and then you'll see something on the left, I think. You'll see you can click the stream. It's awkward when
sorry, stream. Yes, I see it.
You got it now.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's super annoying with Discord. Let me know when you're in.
I'm in.
Okay, so when I'm doing this adjustment right here, this is strictly, that's strictly wrist. Okay. Now, if I'm doing something like this, that's arm. Make sense? So for you, it's like, how do these guys make these little micro adjustments? This is mostly hand or fingers or wrist. My arm is not moving at all doing any of this right here. It's stuff that's more than this. That's when I move my arm. Does that make sense? So what you might be struggling with is it's like you're like everything with you is arm. Everything is arm moving, and that's very healthy for your wrist health. But when you're trying to do these micro adjustments, you might be having a hard time being like, how do they do this when I'm moving my whole arm? It's because they're not moving their whole arm. Does that make sense? It's just their wrist.
Yeah.
So rest your elbow on your wherever you're at right now. Put your arm on your desk, and then like move your, just like, even though you're not really doing anything right now, just move your mouse like within your wrist's range of motion. That's kind of like what I'm doing right now. Right? That's what I'm doing right now. And that's how they do these little micro flicks, right? Okay, when they hit them, right? So that's basically what they're doing. Does that make sense?
It's all good. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? It's a good question, actually.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I've been doing something similar to that. I think I think that my tracking aim is really bad. I think it's just like, you said you recommend deathmatch more than like, aim trainers, stuff like that?
100%. 100%, especially for a hero like Moira, because if you think about it, like with, I mean, honestly, even Reinhardt too, because it's like with Moira, it's like, how many times are you going to be 1v1ing somebody? I mean, it's fairly frequently, right? Like, it's actually like, it's like, think about that Hanzo 1v1, right? The best way to beat a Hanzo in a 1v1 is to know how to practice versus Hanzo in a 1v1, right? Play around a Storm Arrow. Make sure you lead your damage orbs. Practice, as corny as it is, practice your right click, right? So I get in there and I'm like, people are going to hate your guts for playing Moira in a deathmatch. So win every game. Win every game. You know what? I wouldn't even say win the game. Just don't lose a 1v1. You know what I'm saying? Because winning the deathmatch might mean that you're like kill stealing and stuff like that, but that's not really why you're in deathmatch. You're in deathmatch to be able to win 1v1s. That's what you're trying to do with deathmatch. Like when I'm versus this guy right here, do I know how to win this 1v1? And if you're not confidently winning those 1v1s, then that's what you need to be practicing.
Okay.
It's the Overwatch 2 mindset, right? Support's got to be able to defend themselves. That's just how it is. So, okay. Any other questions?
Well, I want to be respectful of your time.
You're totally fine. So. We started late. We go late. Doesn't matter. Any questions you got? Go for it.
Okay. Actually, you know, the biggest one was really about DPI. I think that's it for now.
Okay.
Things. Oh yeah. I think I'm good, especially with the tips you gave me on Reinhardt Moira.
Okay, okay, sounds good. Well, if any questions come up, you can message me anytime. So like if you have a game and you're like, I don't know how to play versus this, or I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do here, or just even more like computer sensitivity or whatever tips, you could just let me know. Just message me anytime. Sound good?
I would love that. Yeah. Should I go through the
No, message me directly.
the link to set up? Okay.
Yeah, just
cool.
message me directly. Yeah.